In today's news, Premier vows to address rising violence. Governor defends police vetting process as vital. Businessman questions need for 2027 referendum on Virgin Islands' future, and festival launch set for May 23rd. These and more stories when Twit for News returns.
As the winds start to whisper of approaching storms, it's time to safeguard your sanctuary.
Hey, have you checked your insurance policy lately?
Not recently, why?
It's very important to check your insurance policy before the hurricane season.
That's a good idea. I'll reach out to my provider and get some information.
Awesome. Come, son, let's plan for emergencies together. We're gonna include your favorite comfort kit.
Thanks, Dad. That makes me feel safer.
We're packing extra medications and extra batteries for your hearing aid.
And by the way, don't forget my glasses.
Okay, Pops.
Alright, let me see. Okay.
Going on, dog?
What you saying? You good?
You got truck?
How you on here doing? I hear trimming some of the branches to make sure they don't cause a frig when the storm come.
Fair point. I gotta go clean out the gutter them down by me so nothing don't build up. You know how that could go sometime.
Makes sense. That sounds good. We gotta be prepared.
Facts.
Sometimes we get off track, but that's okay.
Yeah. Thanks for chilling with the dog today, you know.
Man, anytime, you know I got you.
Yeah, but the place so damn hot now. And you know the old people them say when it's so hot, a storm somewhere out there coming.
Listen, I rebuke that in the name of great God of the universe, okay? Let me move these stuff so they don't cause a problem.
Alright, me want my neighbor window get knocked out and
Facts.
Remember, we're in this together. Reach out to your community, lend a hand, and shield each other from the storm's challenges. A message from the Department of Disaster Management and 284 Media.
Welcome viewers to the May 15th edition of Twit for News. I am Jaco Wooding, bringing you the latest out of the British Virgin Islands. Thank you so much for joining us. We begin with news that Premier the Honorable Dr. Natalia Wheatley has reiterated plans for a national anti-crime summit following a recent fatal shooting that has reignited public concern over gun violence in the Virgin Islands. He spoke during a live broadcast of the Virgin Islands Voice on Wednesday.
Plans have begun, in-depth plans have been begun to plan a crime summit, which will bring together various agencies where we will put our heads together. We will bring proposals and plans to discuss what can be done to stamp out the scourge on our communities. We will have, of course, the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force. We'll have immigration. We'll have customs. We'll have social development. We'll have the Ministry of Education. You know, we'll have various private sector organizations. We're bringing together all stakeholders to be able to confront this challenge and to ensure that the Virgin Islands continues to be a very safe place for persons to live and persons to walk and persons to visit.
Wheatley said that the National Security Council met earlier that day to address both the latest incident and the broader rise in violent crime. Reflecting on the brazen daylight shooting that claimed the life of 32-year-old Nyron Erickson, Wheatley had this to say.
The National Security Council met today. Of course, I received briefings right up until when that incident took place. But National Security convened today where we were able to have the discussions in relation to that event and the broader situation as it pertains to crime. Carrier, let me first of all say how saddened I am that we have yet another murder in the Virgin Islands. And this was right before Mother's Day, where a mother had to mourn the loss of her offspring.
The Premier is once again urging the community to lean towards more peaceful resolution when conflict arises. Wheatley noted that while crime rates in the territory are still relatively low, one such incident is one too many.
And I have to make a call to the people of the Virgin Islands to resolve conflict in a peaceful manner, and for us to abandon the use of violence, the use of guns in resolving disputes. Carrier, we have by and large a very peaceful society, law-abiding citizens and residents. Last year, I believe we only had maybe 3 or 4 murders, somewhere around there, but one murder is one too much. One murder is one too much. So while we have a relatively low crime rate, we want to stamp out the scourge of crime.
The Premier shared that based on reports received so far, there has been cooperation with police on investigating Erickson's death. He urged any witnesses to come forward. Meanwhile, Governor Daniel Pruce has admitted that vetting processes for the police are intrusive. However, he made it clear that while police officers have to provide their financial information, at no point they would have to provide their credit card PIN numbers. The vetting process for members of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force was launched last week by Acting Commissioner of Police Jacqueline Vanterpool. During his update on the completion of the Commission of Inquiry recommendations and self-assessment, Governor Pruce stated that the starting point of building effective law enforcement agencies is based on trust. That trust, he said, comes from the public, across agencies, and between colleagues. Pruce emphasized that the Commission of Inquiry itself heard that there was a reluctance to share intelligence for fear of it being divulged, and as a consequence, it recommended that all officers should be subject to vetting.
We've been working on this for some time since then, and I was pleased, as I said earlier, to hear that the Acting Commissioner launched vetting for members of the RVIPF yesterday. And we're continuing to work towards progress to start the process of vetting for customs, immigration, and prison officers. As we've gone through this journey, I've worked very closely with the Attorney General and her chambers every step of the way. And this work, of course, has been guided by a firm commitment to upholding the Constitution of the Virgin Islands and being consistent with it. Of course, it's critically important that people undergoing vetting are provided with the necessary information, and that those who are conducting the vetting process are also provided with complete information. The form that officers are required to fill out is available within the regulations. Officers are asked to disclose information about their personal circumstances, circumstances which could make them vulnerable, which could place them at risk, which could inhibit their ability to do their job effectively. And part of this is also identifying associations and connections that officers may have as well. Understanding officers' finances is an important part of this process too. But let me just clarify one point which I think has been widely misunderstood. At no stage in the vetting process will anyone be required to disclose the PIN numbers of their credit cards. I know vetting can feel intrusive, particularly when it's new. In common with many of my UK civil service, diplomatic service colleagues, I have undergone vetting processes throughout my career. But it's important that we share information with our employers so that they can help support us in managing any risks appropriately, mitigating any potential vulnerabilities. And those requirements flow from the work that we do.
And viewers, with that, we take a quick word from our sponsors. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Pop the Balloon or Find the Connection. Let's meet our first contender, ladies. Okay, Joey, so do you have any toxic traits?
I'm very restrictive. I don't give more time. What you get is what you get. I don't like to give unlimited time. That's it.
Okay, can you tell us why you popped your balloon?
That's a little too restricted for me.
Thank you for coming. Okay, ladies, so let's meet our second contender.
Sorry, excuse me. Why did you pop a balloon?
I
could give you minutes, data, unlimited call, overseas call, fiber. What else you need?
My friend used to date you. You are scam. She used to pay for everything and more. Nothing to offer.
Okay, ladies, let's welcome our last contender. You look nice. Can you tell us your name?
Thank you. My name is Christian Charles Thomas. They call me C Sweetie.
What do you have to offer these ladies?
Well, security, trust, unlimited time, and I'm pretty fast.
Okay, so do you have any deal breakers?
Nah, but here's my number. 444-4444. Y tú, vida ilimitada.
Okay, guys, so no pop balloons.
For a fast, reliable, and secure connection for your personal or business life, call us at 444-4444 or visit any of our CCT stores and we'll get you connected with the perfect match for you.
Rashford made it. Manchester United have come from behind to lead.
At home or on the go, watch CCT Live. Download our app and carry your favorite TV shows, news, or live sports anywhere you go. Visit cctvvi.com/live, select your package, and tune in.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Local businessman Troy Christopher believes that as long as the territory is on a path towards self-determination, it does not need a referendum to determine where it wants to go. As he puts it, that would be giving back what their ancestors fought for. It is believed that a committee must be put in place to do the work of having such placed on the ballot paper for the 2027 general election in order to move forward with the self-determination process. If the BVI is to go independent, have free association or integration, it would have to be done by way of referendum. However, during a recent program on Honestly Speaking, Christopher, who was one of the guests, said he does not believe that a referendum is necessary and gave his reasons why.
Okay, so it's important for us to avoid a little simple trap.
Okay.
And the trap is whether or not you have right to your land as a people.
I see your point.
Because if by referendum it means that we don't have any right to our land, and automatically that means integration, then we would have fallen into the trap.
Yes.
Right now, you have your right to your land. The United Kingdom has a right to respect that.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship that you have with the United Kingdom is that of an administering power.
Yes.
But what is an administering power? We see it all the time. Sometimes, as I say, I'm trying to break it down in a simple form so people could understand.
Please do.
Imagine, Claude, you have passed away and you left a will, and you have left your lawyers as your administrator, so that when your son comes of age, or when your daughter comes of age, or your children come of age, the lawyers are supposed to make sure that they know that this, your property, your estate, what you work for, is passed out to them.
Yes.
So they are administering. They don't own it.
And
they don't own you.
Yes.
The land belongs to the people. The people has been recognized internationally. It's already yours. That's what freedom was about.
Yes.
It's the same thing that you talked about when you talked about those countries that went through the process because colonialism was a crime.
Yes.
Was wrong. Slavery and colonialism is a crime. Crime against humanity. Violation of your rights. Violation of your human rights. International law. So once you understand it mentally, then you would understand why you could be forced into a trap of believing that a referendum can solve that mental problem for you. A referendum for us could take us wherever we want to go. But you have to be careful that you don't give away what's already yours. By putting on the referendum, I want to give back my land and give back our country that our ancestors have fought for. We want to give it back and integrate.
Yes. I see your point. I take your point.
So that should never be on the ballot.
Yes.
As long as you have a right to self-determination.
Meanwhile, the government of the Virgin Islands officially welcomed the appointment of Mr. Paul Dennis as Jamaica's first honorary consul to the Virgin Islands. Dennis, a respected legal professional with more than 32 years of service in the Virgin Islands, will now represent Jamaican nationals living in the BVI while facilitating stronger diplomatic ties. Premier the Honorable Dr. Natalia Wheatley praised the appointment as auspicious and reflective of the shared history and values between the Virgin Islands and Jamaica.
I would say, as a former chief minister used to say, that this is a very auspicious occasion.
Indeed.
This is an occasion that portends great success for the Virgin Islands and our relations with our brothers and sisters in the region. Let me firstly say congratulations to Brother Dennis. Very esteemed King's Council.
Correct.
Operating here in the Virgin Islands for over 32 years.
32 years, correct.
And we could not have asked for someone more capable. Very well regarded individual, not only in our legal community, but in our community at large, who's played a very active role in the Virgin Islands, in the Bar Association, and all things as it pertains to the legal jurisdiction that we have here. And let me just say, someone who I respect and admire greatly as a genuinely good person. And as you said, Keria, we have a Jamaican community here, which we value, we regard very highly, who have contributed fantastically to the growth and development of the Virgin Islands. And I remarked to Brother Dennis in our discussions before this interview that I was actually surprised that it would have taken this long, because we've had Jamaican community here for a number of decades. We've had persons who've studied in Jamaica, particularly studied medicine. Many persons who've come back with Jamaican wives as a result of studying.
Especially our BVI doctors. Right?
Yes. And, we've had lasting friendships with persons from the Jamaican community. And so the appointment of an honorary consulate here and an honorary consul is one, for me, that shows strengthened relations between BVI and Jamaica.
Dennis outlined several key services that his office will now provide, including passport renewals, emergency travel documents, and supporting in times of distress, such as natural disasters.
But my office is also meant to serve the Jamaican community in the BVI in various respects, which generally involve taking such steps as may be necessary from time to time to protect the interest of Jamaican nationals and to provide certain typical consular services. So it will range from routine matters such as assisting Jamaicans with renewal of their passports, assisting them with obtaining emergency travel certificates, where that is necessary, and even assisting in circumstances where members of the Jamaican diaspora here may find themselves in situations of distress.
He also recalled the challenges faced during Hurricane Irma in 2017, when no consulate was available to assist Jamaican nationals.
The BVI was devastated, and many foreign governments were taking steps to repatriate their nationals, at least temporarily, until the BVI found itself back on its feet and things could return to normal on an even keel. Of course, we did not have a consulate at that time, but we were able, through the resilience of the Jamaican community, to find a way to assist our nationals who were in need at that time with repatriation and in other respects as well. That is typically the kind of situation in which a consulate, an honorary consulate, and the office holder would be able to assist.
Premier Wheatley said the government hopes to build on this appointment by pursuing stronger bilateral trade, youth sports exchange programs, and cultural partnerships. A trade mission to Jamaica and broader CARICOM level discussions are also on the horizon. And with that, we're going to take a quick break, but stay with us because we will be right back.
And now it's time for your daily updates on this year's Atlantic hurricane season. Meteorologists say that surface temperatures may be a
gather around. It's important we stay informed about the storm approaching.
You're right. Late August to early September is when the hurricane season is most active.
I don't know when the storm is coming. We can monitor regional conditions using our smartphones or going online.
You know, that's right. And we should always rely on sources like the Department of Disaster Management and the National Hurricane Center for accurate information.
Right. Those are the organizations that have experts to provide real-time data and forecasts.
I hear you. But what if the power goes out?
This battery radio even works without power. I just downloaded the new DDM app. It will send us updates and alerts.
Excellent. Remember, staying informed is our first line of defense. Let's make sure we're ready for anything.
Stay informed, stay connected, and stay prepared. Because when you're armed with information, you can weather any storm that comes your way. A message from the Department of Disaster Management and 284 Media.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. The 2025 Emancipation Festival will be launched on Friday, May 23rd in what would be a scaling back of international artists and a higher concentration on local performers compared to previous years. This was revealed by Junior Minister for Tourism and Culture, Honorable Luz Hart-Smith, during the government's Virgin Islands Voice program on Wednesday evening. According to Hart-Smith, planning is underway by several subcommittees.
We will be launching officially the festival activities next Friday, the 23rd of May. And we have a theme and slogan selected. The winners will also be announced at the launch. And of course, this year and the Premier, I know he has stressed upon it very, very feverishly that we're going to be using mostly our local talents and giving them an opportunity to be showcased. Yes, we will bring in some entertainers, but our emphasis will be looking at our local talents. And we just want to emphasize that festival is an opportunity for us to celebrate, yes, our emancipation celebration, but it's also an opportunity for families to come out and enjoy themselves, to make it more festive, family-oriented, and, to encourage persons to participate and make it. And what I said to the chairpersons the other day when I met with them is that, we're looking at quality and standards, high standards of our festival this year, and not necessarily quantity and having so many different acts. And it's been a contentious subject when it came to, having all these different acts from outside. So we're going to adhere to the public's cry and try our very best to bring quality and not necessarily quantity when it comes to our festival emancipation celebrations.
She emphasized that the public would hear more about the celebrations during the launch, such as the naming of the village honoree and the parade marshal.
I'm also aware that troops are gearing up. They're making their plans. We want to encourage everyone to do their part, whatever it takes that you need to help us as a government, as a committee, to really put forward a good production this year of our festival celebrations. So the dates, of course, are from July 25th to August 9th. And of course, we start in the Rotown area as always, and then we move on to the Eastern Longloop area and then on to Carrot Bay's community where the festivities will end. So those, in a nutshell, that is what the festival is about, but you will hear more about the activities. We're about to put out the theme and slogan. We're about to put out the agenda. These things in terms of the schedule of events. And then, of course, the entertainment is being worked on. Just about everything. We do have contestants from Miss BVI. We do have contestants for Prince and Princess. So it's moving along. And you will hear more details as the days go by.
A contentious issue over the years has been people clamoring for village nights to be free, since the territory is celebrating its emancipation from slavery. However, Hod Smith said this may not happen this year, as there are costs to run the festival.
We do have to, pay attention to the budget. And that's one of the things that we also, I know there are 3 things that the Premier admonished us to ensure this year. And yes, one of them is to ensure that our local talents are highlighted and given opportunities to be showcased. And the other one is to stick within budget. That has always been a stickler. Trying to stick within the budget and not necessarily having to return for additional funds. But we also have to be mindful that we have to be realistic when it comes to the cost of festival, because there's a lot of behind the scenes events, there are a lot of activities, there's a stage, there's a building up of the village, and we have 3 villages in terms of the different communities that we're actually staging the events and activities. So there is a cost, and bringing in the artists, there is a cost. So it's not just paying the artists. Of course, you have to fly them in, you have to put them up for accommodations, and then there's a per diem that they have to receive. And these are all part of their contracts. So, the things that we have to do to cover the festival until we get to the point where the government could definitely give all that we need, all the financial resources that we need for festival. We will get to that point, I believe, one of these days. But for now, we have to charge. And what we're now at the stage where, as I said, we're finalizing the calendar of events. And while we're doing the calendar of events that we're going to be putting out very shortly with the theme, slogan, dates, etc., we will be looking at the days in which there'll be paying nights. If we can possibly have less nights being paid, we will try our utmost best to do that. But there definitely will be some nights when they're paid. And then, the Premier could probably, as the Minister for Finance, chime in here and help me out in terms of the financial aspects of festival and the costs. But there is a cost that we have to cover in order for us to produce the festival and at the level in which we want to produce it.
And viewers, that's it for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for daily news updates at 284media.com. Like us on Facebook at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram and X, formerly Twitter. I'm Jacques Wooding, and I will see you again soon. So have yourself a safe and enjoyable evening. Goodbye.